We are back. What's up, Dan? You put your glasses on, man. I had
Put your glasses
put
back
your
on.
glasses back on. We are back, baby, with another episode of the Rabbit Hole Podcast, man. What's up? I'm Chris Hunt. I got my man Daniel Horton with me. What's going on with you today, bro?
What's up with it, man? Good day to be back, man.
We
Actually, get
good.
to these topics we got today.
Let's go, man. We got some great topics, man. We're going to be all Michigan basketball, man. We got 2 regular season games in the books. So we got, a lot to discuss about this team, man, how we feel about it moving forward. But we're going to first get into the most recent game, man. They played yesterday against Wake Forest in the Demon Deacon Wolverine Challenge, man, at a neutral site down in Greensboro, North Carolina, man. So how do you feel about, these first 2 games and especially what you saw yesterday against the Demon Deacons, man? What's your initial thoughts on that?
I thought they came out pretty strong the first game, right? Perfect opponent, lesser opponent come out. It's more about what we do. And we'll get to that in a minute. They were able to push the pace and play at a high level, make a lot of shots, get into their actions. I think this past game against Wake Forest was a little, I don't want to say it was the antithesis, but you saw a team that kind of slowed them down in transition, made them execute in the half court, especially the second half once the game settled down a little bit. And you could kind of see there's a lot of positive still, right, with the some of the stuff they're trying to do and they're asking the players to do offensively and defensively. But that's where you can kind of see where their flaws come in at, where it's 13, 14 new guys, new coaches. They kind of lack some of that chemistry and synergy needed to close out close games, to pull out close games like that, right? I think you and I both know in order to win close games at any point in the season, there's a amount of chemistry needed to where we know what we can go to, we know what our strengths are, we know we can execute in order to get a good shot or get stops at the end of the game. So I think they're still missing that, which is to be expected, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, I think I like what I saw. I think it's a couple guys they need to improve in some areas pretty quickly for them to continue to play this way and make strides as the competition gets tougher. But overall, it was a good showing. It was a good showing. A little disappointing they didn't come out with the win, but there's definitely some positives they can improve on and get better moving forward.
Yeah, really, really good test early, neutral site game. As a staff and as a coaching staff, you want to schedule these type of games. Could be a quad 1 type of game towards the end of the year. So it's a good barometer to gauge, okay, where is this team at? And for me, the team is going to be competitive. Like you said, there's some things that need to be ironed out and worked on. But overall, I thought that you showed signs of what you can be, especially for this team offensively in early transition and secondary transition. When these guys are getting up and down and spraying that ball around, they're really good. But now we got to iron out what can we do when the game slows down, like you said, in the half court. How can we take advantage of our roster and our skill set to say, hey, now we can execute and find quality looks and quality shots in the half court. And then, 16 turnovers is a lot too much. Danny Wolf had 6 of those. Some of those were good thoughts and good plays that he's making. And guys, mishandle it, or the timing is off, or the pass is just a little too quick or too late. And then some of those other ones were some of those unforced turnovers where guys dribbling off their foot, or you're just throwing a pass out of bounds or off target. So you got to clean those things up in the game. And then one of the other things I saw in the game is those stretches where, Michigan had those compound mistakes, right? So you give up a 3 on the other end and you come back down and you immediately turn it over. And then you come back down after that next possession and give up another 3. And so those compound mistakes are the things that really hurt you in a game like this. And it's going to be good to see how the coaching staff, first of all, coaches this team up after this game and how the guys respond. Because a game like this could be a momentum builder either way, right? So if you win this game, you're flying high, and it can propel you to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins in a row after this. Or if you play a game like this, you could, question, okay, are we good enough? Where are we at? But I don't think this team will do that. I think this team will bounce back and be able to do some things moving forward, and be able to compete at a high level if we clean up some of those areas, right?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts, man? I know we've been talking about these 2 7-footers a lot and how they're utilized, right?
Mm.
And it's been the one thing that's coming out of the preseason, coming out of exhibition season. Hey, we got these 7-footers on this team, 2 7-footers that can run, that can play, that can do a lot of things. But I think yesterday was a game where they did not impose their will on both sides of the ball, I think defensively and offensively. So how do you see these guys being best utilized? And what was your thoughts about how they played in that game against Wake Forest?
Yeah, I think their play left a lot to be desired for different reasons, right? I think Vlad has to get more in the fight, and I don't know if that's him not being as involved in the game offensively, and it's kind of affecting him on the other end, or he's just getting used still in his adjustment period and playing, being at Michigan or whatever it may be. And then with Wolf, on the other hand, I think he kind of has to let the game come to him more a little bit instead of him chasing opportunities to be a playmaker. And I think that's what he wants to do, and that's what this coaching staff is kind of leaning into doing. But 6 turnovers is from your power forward is unacceptable, right? So you kind of have to. I think they have to kind of find a balance with that. And I think what will help him be better when he is in those situations is embracing the grittier parts of the game a little bit more, right? He has to get in the fight more as well. Like that, I do the show with Devin Garden. He's always talking about quarterbacks getting in the fight by stepping up in the pocket. And it's kind of the same thing right now with our 2 bigs, right? As far as them blocking out and rebounding, multiple jumps, second efforts. Okay, I might block one, but I got to jump a second time to go get the loose ball. Just the grittier parts of the game that we know wins games in the Big Ten. And it's the same thing for the guards. Like, same thing like with Trey Donaldson. A couple times, I think if he takes one more dribble and gets a little bit deeper in the paint, if he gets in the fight, he has better options available to himself instead of some of the situations that and plays that we kind of went over in the pre-show thing. So it's one of those things where I think them getting in the fight a little bit more, and some of these things are natural. A lot of these guys have never played before, never played for this coaching staff, never been in these situations before for some of them. So, hey, I think one thing that'll help them just get in the fight a little bit more. I think the more you lose yourself into the fight, into the game, some of those things that Wolf wants to come off, the ball handling and the pick and rolls and some of the shots that they'll go in. You'll complete some of those plays the more you are engaged in the fight physically and mentally and things of that nature. That's just from a mindset standpoint, but from the schematic standpoint, I would probably I would lower the amount of opportunities he had to be in those situations until he proves that he's not going to turn it over 6 times. So
and we've had those debates outside the show for sure about him and how to best utilize his versatility. And we're talking about Danny Wolf here. And for me, I like him a lot as a player. But like you said, and like I talked about before, he has to be better in those muscle areas. As a 7-foot, 250 guy, like you got to be better in those muscle areas. You got to get some of those traffic rebounds. For me, we talked about this again too. I think he's on the floor too much.
Yeah.
I don't like to see a big guy who's falling on the floor in situations. Like you got to be imposing your will a little bit more with force when you're driving the ball. When you're in traffic, like dude should be bouncing more off you than you losing your balance and falling to the floor in those situations, especially if you're going to be driving from the perimeter. I want to see a freaking offensive foul one of these times because the dude is bouncing off your shoulder, not. So he has to learn how to be as skillful and as finesseful as he can be because he has that skill set, but also win the muscle areas and play with force a little bit more. And I think that's something that the coaches, I'm sure, see on film and understand, especially when he's in the game at the 5 and Vlad Golden is off the floor. Yeah. Now I got to switch my mindset a little bit and play more, mid-post, in the post, outside. It can't be a 5-out offense I don't think in those scenarios you got to have some, like you said, some threat to the basket, to the paint. And I think as skilled and as big as he is, he should be able to get buckets, draw fouls. If he's getting down there in that low block area, mid post area, making plays. So for me, those guys got to impose their will. If you got 2 7-footers out there,
yeah,
the other team got to feel that you got 2 7-footers out there in a variety of ways. And last game we didn't do it. I think Wake Forest did a really good job of attacking our. We talked about again our ball screen coverage on our drop coverage, where those guys they had the offensive ball handlers snaking it and holding our guys in jail, and they had their offensive roller rolling into our big man, which was taking away his ability to affect that ball handler coming off and making shots in the paint. So they had a good strategy against our ball screen defense, and they took advantage of that in the first and second half of that game. They got them some quality looks. So I'm sure our coaching staff will adjust and have some defensive coverages and on the ball screen and definitely execute a little better. But 2 7-footers, man, they got to fill us. They got to fill us out there on both sides. They
got to clear the boards as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what the final rebounding total ended up being, but I know we gave up a lot of offensive rebounds last game.
We gave up 11 offensive rebounds to our 10.
Yeah.
Out of our big fellas, you had 7 rebounds total out of the big fellas. So 12.7 rebounds. That's not enough to be.
And it ended up being an even game. It was 33-33 on the boards.
Yeah.
So 11 to 10 offensive rebounds, 16 turnovers to 13 turnovers, 15 assists to 11. And so the game was 72-70. The game was played pretty evenly, like it says, just in those last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. What do we have to go to, right? Well, what is going to be, and I was asked this question previously, who's going to be the go-to guy? And for me, having a go-to guy is more of a pro concept, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't really just giving the ball to a guy and let him just stand at the top of the key and dance and go to work the last 3-4 minutes of the game like they do at the NBA level, right?
Yeah, you don't got that. Yeah.
So, but you got to have some sort of action or a group of not one set, but a group of sets that you can go to and get good shots at the end of the game. And where you want to go with the ball, who the ball is going to. It doesn't necessarily have to be one specific person, but we got to know where the ball is going to go and where it's going to be in these situations. I think with Michigan, with it still being early in Dusty's tenure, they kind of relied upon. They tried to run one set with the Iverson screen before when Wolf slipped and fell at the top of the key, right? That was kind of that wasn't the early offense action they had been running basically the whole game. They've run all season so far.
Yeah.
And he slipped and fell, so we didn't get a chance to see what that was going to lead to. But I think the better they get in those situations, those game situations that come with, we've practiced a lot together. We've practiced this. We've been in these games live and together in live game situations. They'll improve, but you kind of see the disconnect in certain areas towards the end of that game on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, both ends of the floor. I mean, and that's what it comes down to: possessions here, possessions there. Somebody being out of position, a slip on the court, at the most inopportune time, and a turnover, live ball turnover for touchdown. Those things put you in a bad position. But what you saw there is a team who did respond, well early. They came out blaring early, made some responses during the game, and it was very, very competitive at the end. So you like the tools and the pieces. Now we just got to get this thing executed and curated right. And I think our guys will be able to make some noise here, man. So who do you like on this team in the backcourt? Let's talk about these guards. We talked a lot about these big fellas, the 2 7-footers. Who you liking on this team in the backcourt, man? As far as wings, put you on.
Okay. As far as who's playing the best right now.
No. Who you like? Who do you project is going to be the guys who are difference makers on that wing and in the backcourt?
The freshman is going to be a difference maker. Whether it's sooner rather than later. Yeah, he's going to be a difference maker. He's nice. I like his game. I like his his patience and his poise. Like, you don't really see him getting so far in the first 2 games. You don't really see him get rattled or really get pressured a whole lot. Now the game is played differently than when we were playing, right? Like, if you had a freshman point guard out there 20 years ago, you was getting picked up full court pretty much the whole game. You don't see that a lot now. So and they play at a pace that's going to allow him his strengths to come out and be a good player. Who I want to be the guy who I look at it and say, man, you got all the physical tools, you got
Let's talk about it,
skill level. Hey, I need Trey Donaldson. We got to have it, brother. Like, I need it from you. The team needs it from you. The coaching staff needs it from you. Like, it's too up and down right now, right? And it's not, and it's up and down, and the competition hasn't gotten really stiff yet, right? We've played against Toledo, a couple MAC schools or whatever. Wake Forest was a good test, and he started strong, but I just need more. I need more playmaking from him. I need more. I know their game isn't ball dominance, right? They don't preach, okay, one guy pound the ball and direct traffic. They want to move the ball and play with pace and play with their motion principles. But when we get in certain times, in certain moments, in certain areas of the game, he has to make it clear that I'm the point guard. I'm the guy on this team. Not as far as getting a bucket, but getting us in advantageous situations, whether it's pushing and probing, whether it's taking one more dribble, being tough enough to take one more dribble and getting to the paint and making the right play, right? We looked at a play from the clips we watched earlier where he navigated a pick and roll and he stopped above the free throw line and one-handed hook pass to a guy who really wasn't open. Like, in those situations, when you're a big-time guard in this league, you take one more dribble, get to the paint, and if you collapse the defense, now you had Wolf cutting back door, you had the lob to Vlad, and then you had the obvious guy, Namari, wide open on your strong side. Right. So you just have more options open when you're tough enough and you're good enough to take that one more dribble and collapse the defense and be able to play in them tights, be good enough to play in those tight spaces, handle the contact, handle the pressure, and make the right play. And I think he's capable of doing that. Like, he has the size, he's 6'3", he has a skill level. Like, he has the strength, the quickness to do it. So it has to become a mentality for him. That's one thing I've questioned since he committed, right? And I don't want to make this about him. I'm just saying that's the guy that I want to see take a step forward because I think he has the ability to do it.
No, I know. Yeah, no. Point guard to point guard. You're gonna be hard on the point. I already know. You looking. That's where your eye goes when you see that. How can the point guard make the game easier for everybody else? And for this offense, it's more of an equal opportunity, and that ball is moving, it's hopping, and I do like that everybody has an opportunity to make a play and take a shot in rhythm, and the ball moves and it goes from strong side to weak side, and it's going. I love that about them, and they play 0.5 basketball. But like you say, during games like this, like a dude like Wake Forest had a dude like Hunter Salas who could get you a bucket. All right, when stuff slows down, who is that guy on our team right now who can create a bucket for himself or somebody else consistently within action, right? Like you said, this ain't breakdown. Give it to Tatum at the top and he stepped back, but this is a guy, I'm gonna put him in this action, and I know he can create a quality look for himself or somebody else on our team. And I think you got some guys, like you say, with Donaldson who can grow into that. Obviously, you want Roddy Gale to be a part of that because his size and strength and finishing ability and experience. And then you're growing guys like Kaysen, and then you hopefully guys like Reuben Jones can be finishers and shot makers in situations down the stretch in the game. But, it's early. These guys are learning themselves. The coaches are learning them. And for me, it's going to do nothing but improve from here, right? As you grow these guys, watch the film, and you have a tough loss like this, now you can prepare yourself to say, hey, we're not going to lose no more close games. Because I see the things when we watch the film. I see the mixed blocks outs, right? I see the not stopping a guy in transition. I see the extra pass I could have made for a guy for an easy bucket. I see those muscle area rebounds that I should have got when the ball's right in front of me, and I got to go get that and save a possession for my team. So these guys that get there, and I think everybody's still learning what's the best way to put this team together to have them be successful. But I know you're hard on them PGs, man.
Yeah, I gotta have it out Donaldson, man. He got too much game, like, and we have when we sit down and talk about the different guys on the team and try to break down the team. He's the guy that I come back to because it's not physical with him.
Yeah,
like whatever it was, it's what kept him from beating out the guy. Like I wasn't at Auburn last year. I wasn't in their practices. When I look at him and I look at his physical ability, I can't see another guy in his class coming unless this guy is special, coming in and every day outworking him and beating him to become the starting point guard for that team, right? Mm-hmm. So it has to be something mentally, it has to be something that he has to overcome within himself to be who he's capable of being. Because I think, and I'm gonna say this right now, Chris, like Devin Gardner taught me about first guessing, right? I think before he leaves Ann Arbor, he has the potential and the physical ability to be a first team all conference point guard.
There you go. Okay.
So I'm not saying this. So I'm not saying this from a perspective like I don't think the kid he'll ever be good. No, the kid has the ability to be really, really good.
And you want to see that. You want to see it get out of him. You want to see him reach his maximum potential.
Yes,
you want to see that. And I feel that's the same way I feel for these two big 7-footers out there. Like I see Danny. I love his skill set. Yeah. I love his skill set, but he has to be better in those muscle areas, man. And we got to find a way to diversify your game where you're not a big 7-foot, 250 wing player, right? You got wing skills and you can make plays, but you still 7-foot, 250. So we got to be able to take advantage of when you got a little dude on you, getting in that mid post, getting in that block and going to work because he's such a good passer too. So if you're working from that area, then you're creating the same offense that you could create on the wing. You got to impose yourself in that way, and I want to see him do more of that because I really like him as a player, and I really wish we would have had him in our program for 4 years, man. We tried to get him a couple years ago when I was on staff. It didn't work out the way we wanted to work out. I know he wanted to, be there and had high interest in Michigan. So I'm very, very happy to see that he's now in the program, and want to see that dude do well, man. I like his game a lot. And when you got two big fellas like that, we got to impose our will on the other team.
For sure. And I think if they were better in those muscle areas, they could probably afford to bring in Walters and really at the 3 and bring in even bigger lineup, right? But you would have to. It requires a little bit more, like you said, being better in those muscle areas, being better in those grit areas, to where if we come in and we do play you guys, maybe we jump in the zone and we get really long in the zone, but like, playing the zone, you got to hustle, you got to block out, you got to do all those little things that we talked about in order to be effective. I don't know if I would do that and play man-to-man, but like you said, we were better in those tight areas, those muscle areas. You could probably get away with throwing all 3 of them out there and playing a little bit of an extended zone or something. Who knows? But the possibilities, you have more possibilities when you know those guys are going to take care of the absolutes down there, blocking out, rebounding, challenging shots, altering shots or whatever, and then the other stuff becomes a gravy, becomes extra, becomes, like we say in Louisiana, becomes lanyard. You know what I mean? Like
lanyard. What that is, man? What's that? That's an acronym.
A little something extra.
A little something extra.
Yeah,
I love it, man. Hey, what's your early season thoughts and prognosis for how this team is going to fare, man? Like, do you think A, tournament team, B, bubble, C, struggle to get into the bubble and be an NIT team? So what do you think?
First of all, tournament, bubble, or NIT is a really good first year. So either one of those 3 is a good first year.
For sure.
You got 14 new guys, right? And I don't want to be like, a lot of people are like, yeah, well, compared to last year. No, I'm not comparing it to last year.
Yeah, let's stop it, man. It hurts my feelings. When you compare it to last year, it hurts my feelings. It hurts my staff. It hurts my feelings.
Not just that, like in college sports, sports, no 2 years are the same because the rosters are never, even if the staff was back and the team, like the roster would have been different because guys graduate, you bring in new guys. So the teams are never the same anyway. So I hate comparing from year to year for college sports, right? So just judging off this year's team and for what I've seen so far, I would if they're on the bubble and win 20 games, Dusty and the staff has done a great job this year. But I think more realistically, they'll probably be in that NIT range just because now what can change that if they find a way to win some of these close games that they'll be in and that most mid-level teams are in, right? Like when you look at the teams like 6 through 12 or 6 through 13 in the Big Ten, you go in a lot of close, pretty much every night is a close game. So with a team with a bunch of new guys and a new coaching staff, how many of those games can they pull out and can they figure out a way to win is going to determine if they're going to be a bubble team or NIT team. But just based off talent alone, they have enough to definitely win 15 to 20 games and get into a postseason tournament.
Yeah, for me, I think this is a tournament team.
Okay.
Surefire tournament team. I think it'll be in the top half of the Big Ten. What you're going to see is going to be probably in that 5 to 6, 7 range, and I think that gets you in. I like the experience. I like the growth potential of what they have in this team. So that is what, and just looking around the landscape of the Big Ten, I think it's going to be competitive. But I do think with the roster they have, they are positioned to be able to compete with any type of team that's out there, especially in the Big Ten. And you're going to see these guys win some of these closer games. So I think surefire tournament team first year, which is, like you said, is going to be a hell of a turnaround and a hell of a season for anybody in their first year with the turnover that he had. But, 5, 6, 7, Michigan should be right there in that range if everything goes the way it should go with this team, in my opinion.
Yeah, you got some lofty predictions. I'm about to say, I've seen the top 4 or 5 teams in this league. We not quite there yet.
5, 6, or 7. We gonna get there. 5, 6.
I've seen Purdue.
You seen Purdue? Purdue is Purdue, but they lost the big fella. Edey is a difference maker. Like they always replenish their bigs at Purdue, but Edey was a force.
They've earned that respect to get that.
Oh yeah, no, Painter's hell of it. Like they're gonna be in position. But from there,
we're down to beat Texas.
They got some dudes. They definitely reloaded and replenished and got some dudes. I mean, the Big Ten gonna be competitive, man. We're not even talking about the newcomers in Oregon, UCLA, Washington.
Before we got to, and they're actually basketball schools. So a couple of them. So it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, hey, I'm just throwing it out there. Early season prediction: 5, 6, or 7. Top 7 in the Big Ten.
Yeah. See, I didn't even see when I was thinking when you said 5. When I said I was seeing the top 4 or 5 teams, I was talking about like traditional Big Ten teams. I hadn't even factored in the UCLAs and the USCs,
the Oregons.
Yeah, Oregons. It's gonna be tough, man.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But we'll see. That's my early season prediction. I do reserve the right to change that prediction at any time.
Yes, sir.
Say that.
Hey, if that comes true, Dusty and staff, like I said, either one of those predictions come true, whether it's tournament, bubble in tournament, or bubble in no tournament, and NIT, that's a great first year. You know
really good, really good.
When you basically bring in a whole new roster, there's advantages to that as well, right? You basically getting to hand pick your roster, but there's still some disadvantages to it as well. So for you to be able to get guys together enough to win 17 to 22 games and have some postseason opportunities, that's a hell of a coaching job, hell of a year.
No, it's a hell of a coaching job. So we'll see, man. Another thing, big news, man. Michigan, Trey McKinney committed, man. What's your early thoughts on that, man? I know you watched highlights and saw him and been following him all the time, man. What's your thoughts on Trey McKinney?
That's a big time pickup. That's a big time pickup. That's one of the ones you got to have. Like he's an in-state kid. He's 5-star kid, McDonald's All-American, has a really nice game. Like I don't really see too many weaknesses to his game skill-wise. Everything that I would have reservations about comes from a physical perspective. That sounds crazy, right? But with him being 6'4", 225, but
yeah,
being that size at a guard in college, we know that can that can go either way, right? You can either get to college and become a guy like Kelvin Torbert that's not really effective off the dribble, but still a good player at the college level, or a guy he can be really skilled to become a Dwayne Wade type of guy, maybe. I don't know. But I think with more skill, because I think he has, from a high school perspective, he has pro skill level now, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, he can get it done, individually for his skill level, and you like the strength in his game, you like the pace, you like his ability to score and drive and finish and create a shot for himself. And like you said, it's a good get, man. I was a part of the early stages of his recruitment as well, man, on campus as a youngster. Showing these guys around the football games and his dad and all that stuff, man. So it's good to see him finally come home. But yeah, you got to project out. How is that going to be? Is he going to be a perennial all Big Ten player? Is he going to be a guy who can be potentially 1 and done, 2 and done, 3 and done? I think that's all going to be up to him and how he continues to develop his body, how he continues to, improve on all of those different areas, IQ wise. That's always the one thing that people got to step their game up. But great get, and I think Dusty is putting together a solid class right now, especially for freshmen, and it's not even counting, who additionally they may bring in now. With the portal, you can always change your fortunes in that portal area too. So, no, great get for Michigan.
A Husky guy like that coming into college.
Who's that?
Darren Williams. Darren Williams was about 6'3", real husky. I don't know if he was 225, but he was real husky coming into college, you remember? And he broke his jaw. He broke his jaw when we were freshmen. And he lost about 15 pounds when he broke his jaw.
Couldn't eat, huh?
Hey, bro, when he came back, he was a whole different person. And he was already a borderline 5-star guy coming out of high school. So he was already a really good player. But just point being, with a guy like that, man, you just never know. You change a couple things, and like you say, you project forward. Darren Williams loses that weight, becomes practically the best point guard in the country, number 3 overall pick, right? So I'm not saying McKinney has a weight problem or anything like that. Not saying Darren had one. Darren didn't think he had a weight problem either. You know what I'm saying? Until he broke his jaw and saw, oh shoot, this weight I lost made a difference.
Yeah, I got this weight vest off my back. Man. Like it's a difference, especially at the guard position. Like offensively, you'll be able to do things because especially you talking about Trey. He's strong. He's got a quick first step. He's shifty. But then what you want for him being 6'4", you want him to be an actual guard wing, and for that you got to be able to guard out there on the perimeter. And that's the one thing you want to say. Hey, can we guard out there like we need to do? And sometimes taking that extra poundage off, get that lateral quickness up. You're sprinting a little faster. You're moving a little quicker, and you're able to do that. And you're still gonna be strong. Yeah. So, but no, great get, man. It's good to see the best talent at Michigan going to Michigan.
Yes, sir.
That's what you want to see. It's good that Dusty is making that a priority in his regime now. And shout out to Trey, shout out to John McKinney and his whole family. And looking forward to see those dudes in Chrysler.
Yes, sir.
In a season or a theater near you coming up. All right, man. Well, that'll be it for today's episode of the Rabbit Hole Podcast, man. To my man Daniel Horton, I'm Chris Hunter. We'll see you guys next time real soon with some more content, baby. Yes, like and subscribe too. All that stuff.
Like and subscribe.
Follow us. Do all that. DM Daniel. Don't DM me, just DM Daniel. He like that.
Forward it to your friends. Forward it to your friends and all your sports buddies. We need it.
We need it. All right. Peace. All right.